There was article that came out of the National Association of Home Builders, and it said to expect about an $8,000 to $12,000 increase.
There are business grants out there. Necessarily your city might not be the one issuing those grants, so your offices like that are going to be your connection to it to say,
I do real estate development here in Houston, Texas. Tell everyone we strive to be the Chick-fil-A. Quality product, quality team, quality service. My pleasure.
Right.
So we do affordable housing in the city of Houston, and then outside of the county, we develop acreage communities. So we go in and we take raw dirt and we run all of your infrastructure, right? Your water lines, your sewer lines, your drainage, your roads. And then we will also, in some cases, do the vertical, so build houses.
Okay.
Like what we're in.
But the difference between real estate broker and developer.
Yeah, so the developer is usually coming in and doing the infrastructure, like I just talked about, the water, the roads. And then the broker is usually someone who's selling the house. Like whoever sold you your house is usually the broker or the realtor.
Okay, so you're a developer.
Mm-hmm. So you usually have a developer who starts the early groundwork. Then you have a builder who does the houses. And then you have a broker or a real estate agent that sells it to the end consumer.
Okay. And Portia, you are a business developer, former city business manager. What is business development? Is it like a baby? Somebody give it to you and you grow, and you watch the baby grow. What it is exactly?
Yeah, so I formerly served as a business development manager for the city, and some people, there was their babies, where they were starting their babies in the infant stage, where they were even trying to find a name for their baby, and how does that baby grow, and how do we make sure, basically we put that baby in the right school, so they can get to and graduate to where the parent sees it to go. So really helping businesses to navigate the procurement process, whether they want to go through government procurement, they want to do corporate procurement, or if they're just doing B2B.
B2B meaning?
Business to business.
Business to business. Oh, okay. Now I get B2B. So it's pretty much like, will you help somebody who has a thought about a business, how to give birth to that and go through the process?
Yes, so I help people who just had the thought of starting a business to people who have been in business for a while. They wanted to scale, they wanted to grow, they wanted to expand, or they might be looking for a new market, or just saying, hey, I've been doing this for a while and nothing's happening, I'm stuck. So what can I do?
So you got a magic. I guess.
Maybe.
I'm gonna come see you for my business. So I got a question actually for both of y'all. In right now after COVID, the market is very complicated. A lot of industry got hit. Some made a lot of profit. How did you guys see for you in real estate and overall as an entrepreneur, how the market shift in real estate and overall as an entrepreneur, and you as a business developer, how do you see the market shift and what would be the best industry for people to get in right now?
So I live by the quote or the motto that the only thing constant is change.
Yes.
Like that change is just the inevitable of life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that you as an entrepreneur, at least for me, I'm always monitoring every little thing in our business. The accounting side, customer feedback, working with our suppliers, our trades, all of our consultants, our architects, engineers, and we're having discussions in real time. And so if there's something that's happening like COVID made my lumber, so when you frame a house, my lumber pack was like 4,000 and it shot up that same house to 24,000. Just like that.
Yeah.
Right? And so I had to, and it was a city contract. And so I had to go to the city and say, hey, I need to renegotiate because I can't sell these houses for a loss. And I had to talk to the city. I had to talk to my suppliers. I had to go to the buyers because I already had them under contract. And I had to you had to retrade the deal. I had to talk to their lenders. How is it going to affect their home loan? And that's just the nature of the beast. And then also too, you have other associates in the industry. So I'm a part of the Greater Houston Builders Association. And I talk to other builders and developers and I say, hey, what are you guys doing? What are you seeing? And then you're just attacking it in real time. I think you have to be nimble and you just have to take action. And that's what we've done during COVID. We did that during Hurricane Harvey. We're doing that now with the tariffs.
I'm coming to that. The tariff.
The only thing constant is change. And I think if you're resistant to change, that's when life is going to be very hard for you. But if you can just adapt to the change and understand, it doesn't matter. You can't control everything.
Yeah.
And if you believe that, life is going to be very tough for you. So I've been adaptable and flexible, and the only thing constant is change.
So for me, if I can just go back to your first question and kind of set the context as far as, so my role there was, we have to remember that small businesses basically are the backbone of pretty much any economy.
Yes.
And so what a lot of government departments or government agencies have is some type of business development manager or whatever. They might, for our office, it was focused on small businesses. Other cities, it might be the economic development office or whatever. But it's to make sure that the small businesses, especially those held or owned and operated by marginalized groups, have the opportunity to compete on contracts or have the opportunity to compete in general because of the weight that they have. Because most small businesses are going to hire people from their communities. And so it's like a community engagement, community development, all wrapped in one. And so when we talk about that, now jumping to this question, I just want to set that.
Yeah.
So my responsibility was to make sure that we have in small businesses who have the resources so that they continue to do what they need to do because it helps the overall economy, helps the overall community. The pandemic I saw a couple things happen. One, I saw a lot of businesses did go out of business because they just weren't ready for that pivot, that unexpected pivot. But I also saw a lot of businesses succeed. There was a record number of businesses that started because of the pandemic. And remember that when the pandemic happened, it also kind of led to what we call the Great Resignation. So you had a lot of people who were leaving their jobs because they were just like, I don't have to be here dealing with this toxicity. But a lot of those people started their own business in the process. And it kind of made a switch go off in people's minds that you just can't have one stream of income. So businesses began to develop more. A lot of businesses, owned by women, started to develop more.
Why?
And
not to go, but why?
I don't know. We started. It was an increase
because
in
of the product. Women have the product all the time.
You know what?
Beauty product and stuff.
I think because when you shift from, okay, I lost my job or I cannot do my job, we have to go and do something for myself. I think men kind of already were doing that, but then women, a lot of times women, we discount ourselves. We're always thinking about other people and not ourselves. And so I think that was a time.
That's mother heart. That's mother heart, naturally. Woman. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I think that kind of pushed people like, hey, just go ahead and do your own thing. And so you started to see a rise in especially Latino women and Black women owning businesses. And with that, then it just kind of began to help. You saw a lot of more people going into construction, a lot of Latino women going into construction, because keep in mind, a lot of them were already doing the back office stuff. But now it's kind of like, hey, we don't need him to do it. We can go ahead and do it ourselves. But we saw a lot of those things. Ironically, in our office, we saw a lot of restaurant businesses, a spike in that, which kind of shocked me because that's one of the hardest businesses to have.
Okay.
But we saw a spike in that, and just in a lot of services businesses. But what I would want to say is what the pandemic I saw really did was, if, like you said before, if you're not flexible,
Yeah.
you're gonna break. And so I think now, for me, what I'm seeing, the hottest business or the hottest industry coming out is AI. Like, if you are not doing something in AI or incorporating AI,
In your
you're
business.
gonna be left behind. Yeah.
And I saw you was doing the 3D. Is it the same thing with AI?
Yeah, there's AI technology, so we're
What is that? Because I saw you posted doing a 3D.
That's coming. So I'm working on Houston's first 3D printed hybrid community, and so there will be robots that's powered by artificial intelligence, and they will be printing the homes, the exterior shell of the homes. So what would take us about a month to 45 days to get the exterior shell of the house, we should have that in less than a week.
Oh, wow.
And even taking a step further, I'm looking at, my friend owns a vacant office building in Greenspoint, and I'm trying to see if I can convert that to an AI data center. So
Oh, nice.
I have a call with CenterPoint on Monday.
You're doing big stuff. You see that? I want to be like you when I grow up.
Well, it's CenterPoint. It's like, what are the trends, right?
Yes.
Where's the demand? And there's a huge demand for
Yeah.
AI data
Fact.
center.
And that's actually why I created the KedgeTech. Because the original company, it was Rock International, which was based in international business development. But now seeing the market, last year I created KedgeTech, which is focused on cybersecurity, AI,
Yes.
and cloud computing. So it's definitely to adapt.
I feel like I'm evolving to at like the intersection of real estate and technology. Like, I feel like that's where my business model is starting to, I guess, evolve into.
Yeah.
And like I said, she said earlier, like, you have to just follow the trends and where the demand is.
Yeah.
And really, as an entrepreneur, you have to do that. Like, I don't know, I'm just not going to be beating my head on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Why isn't this working?
Right?
No,
You have to be ready to pivot. And I think that's what the pandemic pretty much taught everybody is the unexpected. Expect the unexpected.
Yes.
So how can you pivot? So if something is happening and this is your bread and butter, okay, but what else can you get so that you can keep moving and keep going? Because if you cannot change, then you will definitely die. It's like if you can't grow, then you die.
Exactly.
I think I saw, this is actually, I saw, you had a company called High and Hill, something like that.
Oh, deals and high.
Deal and High.
Yeah, that company failed.
What was that? And then what was that? What was
It
the
was
company
real
doing?
estate. It was real estate investing, like fixed.
Oh, so it was nothing about with the hill. I thought it was like a hill.
It was two business women doing real estate deals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it fell.
Yeah, it failed.
But you learned from that
Absolutely.
and did another one.
And that's when I started Cold Climb Builders, and my business partner and I have been together for 10 years now, and over
Now you're doing big.
135 million in sales volume.
That's why I said you're doing big. But I have another question because right now we know the news with the tariff.
Right.
So how that affect your industry, the real estate, and then how you think will affect the small business trying to get it? Because so I have a friend of mine who live in LA, and since last year he said he want to move to Austin. He was going through the process. He actually flew to Austin with his wife to look at houses. He was looking at Houston too. And then I was first guy in this community. I was telling him, "Yo, come over here and get a spot." But his wife actually picked Austin. And last week I asked him, and he told me a couple months ago he's going to move this summer. So I talked to him 2 days ago. I said, "Yo, where you at with the process?" He said, "Man, we put that on hold because with the tariff, houses got affected, the price and things like that. So we kind of, so how the real estate world got affected by that, and what would somebody in his position do, and for small business?
I'm not sure what he's seeing in Austin, in the Austin market, but the tariffs haven't hit us directly yet. There was a, I guess, article that came out of the National Association of Home Builders, and it said to expect about an $8,000 to $12,000 increase in your material cost. So what I've been doing, a bulk of our cabinets come from China. Our exterior material comes from Canada. So I've just been talking to American suppliers.
And those are both countries that are hit by tariff.
Yes, yeah. And so what it has forced us to do is honestly just start building new relationships. I mean, I don't really get into the deep politics side.
Don't get into politics. Stay out of it.
Yeah, because that's
No, stay out of it.
Right.
But ultimately, to my understanding, that is his objective, is for you to buy from American companies, right? Now, the question is, do they have the same lower cost as the material that I was getting from China? I'm still exploring that. So one thing I did find with Lowe's, because I'm doing 80 homes and I'm like, hey, I need somebody who also has the capacity to be able to supply all of the materials I need. And so now I'm talking to Lowe's corporate, and they're like, yes, we do have American manufactured cabinets. So I plan to sit down with their executive team. And so it has pushed me to create new relationships. And it's not a bad one. But once again, it's just more work on my plate now, right? Because it's like, okay, now I got to deal with this. Right. But the only thing constant is change.
Change.
And I think, it's going to have, always going to be two sides with everything. It's going to have an effect, especially those who are in retail. Because I don't think you can find
Shame.
I don't think you can find things that are cheaper as far as clothes, in the U.S. because you have to remember we have a higher cost of living and all those things. But I do think that it does open up an opportunity for those businesses who are able to provide those type of services here in the United States to rise up and get some business. But it's definitely going to be a hard hit, especially on the retail industry at first.
You think small business will be affected by tariff?
I think so. I think anybody is going to be affected by tariff, whether it's directly or indirectly, but especially those who are in retail, because I'm sure most of them are not getting their wholesales from here. And if they are, their wholesalers are getting them from places like China. But we are seeing there's other places like the Vietnam and the Philippines now who are getting into some of those retail aspects and be able to provide the same type of materials or supplies or items for them. But I think there are going to be tariffs on them as well. So it'll be tough, I think, until everybody really knows what exactly is going to happen. Because right now we're just seeing a poster board with ideas. And so it's just being ready and developing that plan B and C. So if whatever happens, if it happens and it's not able to operate that way, again, that you can pivot. But with this AI stuff, I don't know. I almost feel like AI has the solution for everything, right?
AI change your voice.
Right.
AI too.
3D print your clothes.
Exactly.
It's actually food and stuff.
We have restaurants in Singapore that are 3D printing. It's a 3D printed restaurant.
Yeah.
It's good.
Serving
It's
3D
bad.
printed
It's food.
Right. Yeah. So I think that, if you could capitalize definitely on AI and be on that forefront, on that proactive side.
Yeah.
I think AI is actually, because I remember when I used to have to be a speaker somewhere, you had to sit down and do all this research. Now you just you type on, and they give you anything, and then you put out, you start adapting. It's making everything easier, and it actually putting a lot of people out of business. So that's another thing.
You have to upskill.
Yes.
You need to enhance your skill set. So will there be a shift? Absolutely. But when you hear all the conversation, it's like you think back to the industrial age, right? And how we just moved. Each age we get better and better and more evolved. And so you can't keep doing the same things that you've been doing. You've got to enhance your skill set.
Right.
Yeah, because I take this example. So I'm talking to somebody. I'm trying to write the basic agreement for the law type with the state of Texas law, and I put in AI. Write me this, put all the information.
Right.
AI gave me everything. So now I'm looking at why do I need to go hire a lawyer now to pay him for him to write this thing? But AI already gave me that.
Right.
So that's why I think a lot of people are actually.
I mean, they won't necessarily be out of jobs because you're getting a standard agreement. And to be honest, sometimes you could get those agreements just by putting it in Google,
Yeah.
maneuver it the right way.
But back then it was hard figuring out Google. Now you just put and they give you everything.
And AI can do it. I'm even in talks with someone where we're doing AI assistant. So instead of hiring someone to answer the phones, we can do all of that through AI.
You're doing big stuff with AI. She's doing the same
the
day.
calendar, everything. So I think it's not necessarily. And not to mention, and not to go too political into it, there are some jobs that we as Americans didn't want to do.
Yes.
And so AI is going to be doing some of those jobs.
Oh, wow. Like what?
Because, well, remember, people are being deported.
Yes.
So,
But we're not going to talk about that.
Right.
We're going to stay in business. Leave the politics.
What I'm saying is that there are some jobs that are going to be available, and AI is going to be able to provide.
Like cutting grass. AI can't cut grass.
But robots can.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
So, yeah, I'm gonna back out of that. But yeah, I'm just kind of giving that idea that there are going to be some jobs available that we necessarily wouldn't, go after or whatever. Then AI can fill that position for. But still, I think even though you have AI, you still need that human knowledge to guide the AI to make sure there's not bias in it. And so I don't think that people would be necessarily losing jobs, but they'll need to be trained to be able to have better jobs or jobs to manage that AI.
For your time when you was at City of 8 years, right? 8 or 9 years or something? 5 years. So what did you realize that small business don't do as using city resource? What do they don't know? Because I get a lot of those calls.
Yeah, a lot of people just didn't know it exists. And they didn't know that there was a lot of free services available. They didn't know that there was people who can help you that won't charge you to sit down for a moment of time to help guide you. They didn't know that there were programs.
Like what
specifically?
specifically?
So if you say to even springboard and just say, hey, I have an idea. How does this work? How do I start my business? Or who can I contact? What's the pathway? They thought that they might have to hire a coach or a consultant to get that, but they didn't know that they could come down.
She actually called me trying to put together the certification package. And you the one gave me that number, and I gave it to her.
You can get all those services for free to do. So there's just a lot of different things, but people just didn't know that it existed. And ironically, I remember a few years ago, taking phone calls, especially from California. Like those people were on it. We're getting ready to move to Houston. We see that you have free services. When can I set up an appointment? I'm going to be there in 2 weeks. I'm going to be there in a month. Like they were on it because wherever they were in California, they have to pay for everything. In Houston, there's a lot of things that are free.
Yes.
So it's just the people just didn't know necessarily about it. And if you're not in it, you probably wouldn't know about it. So that's the hard thing, is trying to go out to the different places where people may be and let them know about it. But it's also building that trust so that you're just not like, hey, we have some free resources. You know how people are free. Ain't nothing free. Like what's all that. But
so pretty much in every city, it would be good for a small business to figure out a way to approach the city. Because like you say, some cities have it, some cities don't. Some cities might not even have the office to where they are focused on helping marginalized groups who own businesses. That doesn't exist in every city. Some cities don't even have it, period.
So it's just really, yeah, you can start with your city government, but you can also start with things like SCORE, because that's a national office, SBDC, Small Business Development Centers. And that'll kind of run you down that hole. Even get involved in your chamber. I'm sure most cities are going to have some type of chamber of commerce who should have a relationship with those type of services or know about them.
And for real estate, I know I'm getting to her too for that. If somebody in real estate, or I have this example, a friend of mine is a real estate broker. Yeah, because it's developer and real estate broker. So he called me, oh, what can I do with the city? Or what resource the city has for me? What would be the response?
So it's, what resources does the city have for me? I mean, what are you trying to do?
He's a real estate broker.
Okay, but what is he trying to do?
I don't know. That's a good question.
There's resources available, but...
Okay, what would be the resource available for business in real estate?
So typically the resources are general for businesses. They're not necessarily for each type of business. A rare occasion, there might be something specific for things like construction. There might be a bonding program for something like that. But it's all about, what are you trying to do? Because anybody can come and say, okay, I want to take available the resource. I mean, do you need money? Do you need counsel?
Money, because that's what people ask all the time. They need money. But the government can show you where to find money.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are business grants out there. Necessarily your city might not be the one issuing those grants.
Federal.
But there are
state.
different grants out there that are available for people to apply for. There are programs that go through that. Certain nonprofits will be offering those grants if they get the money from the federal government. And so your offices like that are going to be your connection to it to say,
like somebody in your position, how would they figure out how, they kind of approach the city and just go to the CA, I'm here?
Yeah. Well, my journey was different. I did start off as a real estate agent, but I was...
Yeah, real estate agent, that's what I meant. Yeah.
I was a teller at the bank, and I was processing check for this one guy who was the real estate asset manager of Midtown. And then I learned about what's called a TIRZ, Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone, and I learned that they had an affordable housing program. And so as the realtor at that time, I was helping them acquire lots just for their program. So just a real estate agent representing the city and this quasi-governmental agency and getting a realtor commission. And that was it. And then from there, it evolved into, hey, Vanessa, we have thousands of lots. Do you want to put together a team and build? And I was like, no, that's not going to work. Why would I want to do that? But I learned that affordable housing was a real problem and there was a huge need. And so just from there, then I was like, okay, let me find a GC, let me find a bank. And I also spoke to a few minority builders that were already in the program, and then just built my company and grew from there. But I mean, I think a lot of this comes down to one, like she asked you, like, what does he want, right? And so I think you have to have like an intention, at least have some idea of what you want to do. And then from there, I think once you get in, if you're just doing a good job one day at a time and build relationships, right? Like I met you, and then you told me to start getting more politically active, start going to these fundraisers, start donating, and now I'm like in every room, right? But that was like relationships, just one day at a time, that just continues to evolve. And so I was working with the TIRZ, then I was working with the land bank, and then grew to the housing department, talking to Harris County. So it's just one step at a time, but you definitely want to, whatever you have, you want to do a good job with that first, because that's a part of your portfolio for people to see, like, oh, okay, they're professional, they're credible, they do what they say they're going to do. And I think as a business owner, you really need to be tracking your numbers. Like that is the blood of your business. And I know a lot of people are like looking for grants, looking for money, but that will help. But you got to show like, okay, I can, whatever I can, I'm already getting like a return on the investment. Like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of like raise money first and then build your company. I'm more of like kind of grassroots, show me what you can do and then start scaling from there. But there's multiple ways to skin a cat.
Yeah, I agree with that because, and just like you say, like my friends in real estate, how does it get help? I would get calls like
he called me. I get calls like that all the time.
Yeah, can you help me? Okay, how can I help you? Can you help me?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's multiple ways I can help you, but I'm not going to spend my time 45 minutes telling you all the different ways. If you're coming to me, you got to be saying, this is my goal, even if you don't know exactly what you need, but this is where I'm trying to go, so somebody can figure out, okay, so this is how you can get there, because it's your business, it's your baby, and you're responsible for it. So if you need the help, you have to know how to direct that person so that they can actually help you. I've noticed too, in just being in that field, a lot of people put too much pressure on people to tell them, what to do. And the reality is the people, because remember, if you're getting this free help, then these people are like, I got 60 other people to help.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to tell me what it is you need so I can help you. Otherwise, it's, okay, let me sit you to the side so I can go to these other people who are coming directly and saying, hey, I'm trying to grow my business. How can I do that? Okay, cool. I can help you with that.
Yes.
But if you're still just trying to figure it out, that's fine. Once you figure it out, then you can come and help. And so even with my consultancy, that's what I'm doing, is helping people to navigate that process, because things can be overwhelming, especially if you're trying to get into government procurement, trying to figure out how to move, who to connect with, because there's a lot of things out there, but just trying to help them to navigate that process so that when they do get into it, they can build their reference list. So it's not just, oh yeah, I want to get a government bid, let me go after it, and you're not even prepared for it. Right. And so there's no need to keep bumping your head against the wall because you refuse to ask for help, or even sometimes people refuse to pay for help, Yeah. And if you get, sometimes you get what you pay for, and so it's just really helping those people not to bump their head on things because they get discouraged, and we don't want them to get discouraged. We want them to succeed, and so let us help you navigate that process so that it's a lot easier for you. You can save your energy for the things you need to do to succeed, but just to figure out that landscape.
What would be the 4 things that somebody who's trying to start a business do and should not do?
Ooh, one thing, you gotta stay true to your expertise. I've seen a lot of people that are just like, hey, I do landscaping, but if you want me to do security, I do security too. But also, I can do painting too. And it's just like, okay.
They're hustling.
You're hustling.
They're trying to make money.
I'm going to tell you the honest truth. When you come to government and you're hustling, they be like, okay, get over there. We're not hiring you because if we want you to
in general, actually, not just the government.
If we want you to build a road and you're doing landscaping, retail, and all this, how are we going to put our trust in you? The road is going to be.
Hey, I can do everything. I'm trying to make money.
Right. So if you can do it all, that's great. But like you said, concentrate on that one thing, become a master at that, and then you can start to expand your businesses. But too many people have all these ideas and that they're not really an expert in any one of them, and that's going to harm them. But for instance, there was a guy who came to me and he was doing power washing, and he was like, doing power washing, but it's not going as great as what else can I get into? Like what's hot with city government? And I was like, depends on what your expertise is. I said, but right now I know it's hard to find minority businesses who do elevators. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you know what? I do elevators. And I was like, wait a minute. We cannot Yeah, but the irony was he actually did. He worked for several elevator companies before he started his power washing.
Yeah, but you just told him because he knew how to do it, but he just didn't know there was a market.
Yeah. And
So-
and even with him, he's actually doing very, very well because it's very few minorities who do, or marginalized people who do elevators. His work is really not coming from the government contracts, but it's coming from corporations. So even just being open, that I know sometimes people are like, well, we know the government has to post their contracts, all this kind of stuff, but just be prepared and open to other opportunities. And so in his pursuit of coming to the government to seek for help, he was able to find success.
I kind of understand him because I've been in his shoes. When you first start a business, you hustling,
Yeah.
you come for this opportunity, they tell you that this is the other one. You need money, and
Right.
you switch yourself. You ready to do this, you ready to do that.
Right.
So for you, from a fair company, and then you really say what's the for somebody, and you really say in business in general, because you are an entrepreneur, should do or and then should not do.
Should do and should not do. For a new entrepreneur.
Yeah, somebody who just started or somebody who's trying to, because we know that's the first thing. I always tell people there's business plan, but there's a reality on the ground.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get in there, you got everything on paper, but what you see on the ground is something else. And this business, at the beginning, is straight up a headache. You got to be possessed.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Because there's day that you turn around. I mean, I'm talking from experience.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, you turn around, the bank account is in negative, and you still got bill to pay. You still have that, you still have that, you can't sleep, and then you're trying to figure. That's why I say I understand him when you say, oh, I can do this, I can do that. So
Yeah, I will say in the early stages, first and foremost, I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur since I was young.
that's what I think. That's why I always say the business is not for everybody. I think you have to have that.
I think
Yeah.
it's like innate in our DNA of like, I can't work for, now
Yeah,
I think
good.
some people too have like mastered a skill in corporate America or somewhere where they've worked and then they see an opportunity and it's like, okay, I can actually start my own company. So I think, there's multiple ways. But in the early stages, I think you are just trying to figure out what works, what
Cool.
sticks.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of like bumping your head. And you have to have that grit to just keep going because it is hard. Like you said, we've all been through that. And if you listen to so many successful entrepreneurs, like podcasts, everybody has had a failure,
Yeah.
if not multiple. Like
Yeah.
it's just the inevitable of it. I mean, for most of them. But then once I got the opportunity, the 10 lots for $10 with the land bank just fell on my lap. The guy I met at Midtown at the bank just fell in my lap. Like, it was like, hey, here's an opportunity. And when I ran the math, I'm like, oh, well, I can make some money. And then I started saying, put together a quick business plan. Could I do this? Did my research. And then from there, that was my focus, was affordable housing.
Houses.
And doing projects with the city. And then it grew and evolved into land development. Because when I was doing affordable housing, we were doing, water taps, sewer taps, sidewalks, cutting streets. And I'm like, this is development. Like, we're doing infrastructure work now. We're talking to engineers and stuff. And so that's when it's like, okay, could I buy raw land and develop it? And then it evolved into that. And so I think in the early stages, yes, you're just shooting that dart,
Trying to find your
see
niche,
what
yeah.
sticks. And then once you find something, it's like, yeah, this is it. And then now you need to actually be professional and get your stuff in order.
Yeah. I remember, it took me 2 years. I always say it took me 2 years to have my first paycheck in business.
Yeah.
2 years straight, no money. Do I know how I survive? I don't. Because, like I said, some days, I remember I was in the apartment, and this is actually a good story. I was in the apartment, and I had 3 months without paying my rent. And I don't know how, Houston. I don't know how I was able to convince the manager that, I don't know, it's probably, I don't know how, but she kind of understood. I didn't pay the first month, came back the second month, they didn't pay, came back the third month, they didn't pay. So the apartment actually filed for eviction. And when the apartment filed for eviction, the judge signed, and the day that the police was supposed to come to actually when they show up to my door, I was just paying that in the money.
Wow.
So I had paid that in the money, and then the police show up at my door, I think probably was around 4 to kind of tell me to get out. But I mean, I came back like, what you doing here? Definitely.
Look at you now.
Right.
We gotta have the cameras show this beautiful neighborhood.
We're just trying to do it. So definitely the beginning, and then because that's what I'm saying, the business plan, what you have on paper is totally different than what you see on the ground.
I tried a clothing line. I tried so many things. It's like, girl, figure it out. But you have that. So I'm sure like people watching, they have that little, burning desire of like, I know I'm supposed to be doing something.
Yeah.
But I just haven't figured it out. And I tell them, just keep trying stuff. Like, what do you have to lose to just keep trying, right? And then, like Portia said, if there are resources, have some intention of that call, but also do your research. Like we're talking about AI. At this point now, you go back and forth with your AI as a thought partner, and you can flush out so many ideas about what you want to do.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I was gonna say, because I do my background is also in career coaching, and so what I tell people is, time you never get back, right? So just be strategic in how you use your time. So if you're just like, I don't know what I can do, a lot of times people are trying different things because they don't know what their purpose is. If you meet somebody and they know what their purpose is, you can't stop them.
Yes.
They know exactly, they're intentional with everything they're doing, and they're not wasting time.
Full speed.
Right. And so if you're trying to figure out like, what am I good at? What's my purpose? The easiest thing is to find, I say about 5 people that are close to you and say, how would you describe me? And if you ask them how they would describe you, they're going to tell you how they see you, and that's going to tell you what your purpose is. And so what they're telling you should be already confirmation of what you know. You might have a lot of things in your head that you're good at, but when they tell you, oh, you know what, you're such a reliable person, blah, 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 then you'll get like, I talked to 5 people and all of them say this, then I know this is my purpose. So now let me set out and find something that serves my purpose and not waste your time with things that's not serving your purpose. Because there's a lot of people, I can tell you, I had a client, he was 60 years old, made like $200 a year. And he was like, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. He wasn't happy.
Wow.
So
$200,000, not 200.
Right.
You gotta specify.
You gotta pray for him. But yeah, $200,000 a year, and he just wasn't happy because he was doing things that he felt he had to do to provide for his family, and that's totally fine. But we're in a day and age where information is at our fingertips. And if we can just take the time to ask people and then really think about what we're good at and what brings us joy, and you can put in ChatGPT, hey, I'm good at this. This brings me joy. Give me some suggestions on what I can do. Bam, it's right there.
When you talk about 5 people, I always tell this to people because, so one day I was in Paris and I'm having lunch with this.
A flex?
Huh? No, it's not a flex. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm having lunch with this billionaire, picking his brain.
It's a flex.
No, listen.
I'm in Paris having lunch with a billionaire.
No, it's not a flex. I mean, it's a real story because it's a real story.
Teaser guy.
Yeah. And I never forgot what he told me because he said, yo, man, I mean, he told me 2 things first. He said the first thing, yo man, the biggest deal you want to do, the biggest politician you need to run. There's some business that you do that you need to be involved in politics because understand the law, know the people. Which you know, you and I talk.
introduced me to
Yeah,
them.
you and I talk about it all the time. And he said, look at your friend, pick 5 friends, right? And make the list of your friends. You put it in 3 categories. There's one category that whatever you do, they just clap their hand. Ah, go girl, man, nah, it's good. They just there to clap hand.
Right.
There's another category where you can actually do project with them. That means you guys can sit down and say, look, well, you and I can do this together and make money. And then there's another category, the last one, he said, if you don't have the second one, work on that, and especially if you don't have the 5th one, work on that. That category is have a friend or somebody you know that you can pick up at 2 a.m. and say, look, I have this business idea. We got to come out with $5,000 tomorrow.
Right.
And then the $5,000 tomorrow, you guys came out with that. He said, if you don't have that one, it's time for you to figure out. and it's true because
Yeah.
I actually stepped back and thought about what he said, and with the time, I mean, it's true. You got some people, whatever you do, they're gonna clap for you. You know, they're happy. And so there's some people that you can work with. But sometimes I always tell people, which from my experience, we can all be together. I'm not gonna say the blind lead the blind. It's not that case.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much for us to work together. Somebody got to bring something, the other one bring another one for us to be a team. But if we're all in the same, doing the same thing,
Yeah.
we can evolve.
Exactly. You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Exactly. The what you was talking about to figure out how to think. So for you, you say you was a real estate broker. I mean, I see a lot of real estate broker. Now, being a developer, it kind of see complicated and more resourceful because, I mean, the real estate agent, like I was trying to buy my house, I call show me house, they show me house. But now you're building, which is bigger. So how would somebody switch from being an agent to be a developer or straight to be a developer without being an agent?
Yeah, when I got my real estate license, I knew that it was going to evolve into more. Like I said, I need to work with investors. I wanted to work with builders. Like I wanted to work with a team that I could grow into. And yeah, over time. So when I was representing small investors all the way up to real estate investment trust, I would learn like what their algorithm is, like how they're running their numbers to determine if this is a good investment. I was learning how they were raising money for those projects. I was learning what kind of returns they were getting on those projects. And then over time, I was like, okay, I've enhanced my skill set, my knowledge, and now I can do this on my own. But that's when I jumped into deals in high heels. And
I thought it was heel, like straight up selling heels or something. When I saw
my former partner came up with that business name. But so I made a lot of money representing investors, and I don't want to say I got big-headed, but I definitely jumped, I think, too fast. And there were just things that I didn't know. I didn't know like the right questions to ask. And anywho, I learned a lot of what not to do. So then when that company folded, I now knew, and I was getting sued. It was all these things.
Ooh.
Yeah, I went through arbitration. Like it was a lot. Friends and family lost money with me, so it was a lot. And when I started the next company, Cole Klein Builders, I learned so much from that. And that was like my rock bottom stage, that I was like, okay, now I know what questions to ask. Now I'm not going to just hand something off and then come back 10 months later and ask, oh, why did we make any money? You know, why was the house never built? I was like, no, I am so, and I don't micromanage, but I oversee everything now, and I have a pulse on everything going on in the company. So I find really smart people. I find people that are skilled in that specific area, bring them on board, and I just have them report to me. And then I also put my eyes and hands on everything, right? Have these quarterly meetings with my accountant and the investors. And so now it's like, okay, we're actually running a company now, right?
Doing big stuff.
Yeah, but it did start from, just real estate license.
And figure out.
Yeah, showing homes.
For both of you, what is the power of networking for any entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh, it's a necessity.
Yeah.
It's a necessity, and I hate to be cliche, but whoever came up with that saying, "Your net worth is your net worth," definitely that's it.
So I know both of you guys. I got money.
And we know you.
Ah.
We can call. We need 25,000.
I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah, no, networking is huge. Like, once again, I thank you for introducing me to the political world. And you're like, Vanessa, you need to get out there. You need to start donating. And
So I did something good.
it was huge.
Look at me. But I'm actually, it's good though. I'm actually proud of you of that, because sometimes I just sit in the home, I was like, ooh, I don't even know what's going on no more in the cities, but now I need to call her to figure out what is going on.
And I heard the saying, 50% of the close is just showing up.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when I've been in different circles networking, like I had one guy was like, it was a nonprofit, and they're like, we need 17 homes built like yesterday. Can you do it? And I'm like,
Ooh.
absolutely. And that was just showing up to an event.
Yeah.
And then that same person introduced me to another nonprofit because they saw our work. And then I got another 10 homes. And that was being in the network.
being
And
there.
it's always the ones like you don't want to go to.
Right? Oh my! I was
It's
just telling somebody
always the
that.
one. I was like, I do
Always.
not feel like going to this event. And, it's just like another event.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to go. You got to go.
You do, and it's like shake it off, put on your best clothes, make sure you have your business cards, whether it's physical or digital. Put on your best.
Talk to
your
people
best
if you get in the
first
room.
impression.
You might not want to, but talk to people.
That's it.
I like to say to people, be fake. Which I mean is, because some people say, I don't like to talk to people. I'm not all this, and because I have a friend of mine like that. He said, y'all get a bunch in the room, talk all this thing and da da da. But but also I always say the power of that is the follow up, because it's one thing to go get a business card at an event, and there's another thing on following up.
Yeah.
Because if you don't follow up, you didn't create the relationship.
You didn't create it.
So you just took a bunch of business cards and kept it at
I
home.
hate that. I even told somebody that they're like, "You have your business card. You haven't even talked to me. Why am I give you my business card?
for?
We're not about to be collecting business cards here."
Yeah.
So,
But I wanna you guys to, if you in 1 minute each, because we're running with the time, what advice will you give to anybody just out there dreaming and to be the next Portia or the next Vanessa, or be even bigger than that?
I would say, I'm always gonna say, be true to who you are, know yourself, and don't be afraid to tell people what you want from them, because not everybody can read your mind. I mean, don't tell everybody your ideas, of course, but don't be afraid to walk in the room and say, you know what, Raul, how you doing? Do you know somebody who is able to do that? I'm looking for somebody who does this, because that's where it's gonna happen for you. But know who you are, know your worth as well, know what direction you want to go into, and be vocal about the help that you need and the assistance that you need. That would be my advice. And don't try to be us. Try to be the best you.
Yeah.
Bigger, yeah.
Absolutely. That dreamer. I know it's hard. I know when you're in that early dreaming stage, it is tough. It's tough because
You want to give up.
believe
Yeah.
what you can be, but you're in that ambiguity phase of just where do I go? And I just encourage you to just try stuff. For me, I just knew I knew it was something in investing, and then I narrowed it down to real estate. So if you have a general idea and you can narrow it down to a little niche category, but even in real estate, right? There's commercial, there's residential, there's development, there's broker, realtor, civil engineering, there's all these things, architecture. But now you need to narrow it down a little even further, right? So the more you just kind of narrow, and then once you're like, okay, I think I can do that, then just go. And it may not be the long-term pursuit, but at least you're enhancing your skills, and then you can figure out from there where you ultimately will land. I'm a firm believer of God, so I'm always asking God to order my steps and everything that I do, and treat people well, good customer service, go the extra mile, wake up early. Like you gotta do what you have to do.
Like you wake up and good wine.
You have to do. I'm telling you.
So, and you got a book.
Yes.
Published author.
Yes, and I have this
Take
book
that piece
called
you got it big.
It's Me, Not You, How I Survive
It's
Toxic
Me, Not
Work
You.
Environments. And
So
I actually talk
so
about
it's-
some of that in there.
So it's me, not you.
Huh?
So it's me, not you. That's what he said. So it's me, not you.
Yes. And so what it's really talking about is the self-accountability method, and that we can't always blame our environment for not feeding into us, but just taking that self-accountability to know when to leave certain environments and how to deal with toxic behaviors. And so it's kind of like my autobiography. I think everybody can relate to it because we've all experienced toxicity in some way or another. And I actually do share some stories about
I love that.
in there how I had to handle some of those situations.
I survived toxic work environment.
Yes, yes. But it's really about just, I can't blame you because you can't control anybody, but the person you can control is yourself. So just taking accountability for your actions and knowing when to pivot, how to deal with certain behaviors, and how to move around those spaces.
Social media. Where to find you? Social media.
They can find me on social media. I am on LinkedIn the most.
Very active.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Very active. You can put in my name, Portia Jackson, and I'll pop up.
Actually, Dr. Portia, you got a
Portia.
PhD.
Yeah, PhD.
I like that.
Yes, and then I'm also on Instagram at PJ_PhD.
Portia is everywhere. Everywhere. Hey, social fam. You. That's your thing, right? Hey, social fam. So, social fam, where social fam find you?
Instagram, LinkedIn as well, the Vanessa Cole, and happy to connect.
Most of the time, which is actually, this is reality. So, when I go somewhere, probably then, and I post a snap or something with Vanessa Cole, right? If somebody out the country will say, oh, I remember her from TV. You know where you were on TV?
Way back in my 20s.
She was TV Vixen or something, or reality show or something. I don't know. Yeah, so it was like, oh, I remember her. I was like, ooh.
Different world.
No, the TV show. No, we can have a TV show.
I mean,
You actually should have one with all that work.
I'm actually talking to some production companies about doing something in real estate.
You should. You should. You definitely should.
Full-time job.
That's a full-time job. Hey, social fam. Hey, social fam. That's it. This is made in Cameroon. I got it.
Okay, what is
Right.
it called?
So this is peanut.
Peanut.
This thing on top is pretty much they put sugar and then boil it. So
The brown sugar.
yeah,
Sweet
sugar.
peanut.
And then you have this is everything that you use to do a waffle with it. Try it.
Waffle, like breakfast waffle?
Yeah, like breakfast waffle. But they put it in oil. They're wild. Straight from the motherland, made in Cameroon.
Oh, wow.
This is like the bottle of the regular bottles that they made.
Okay.
And then she did a sticker. This is a small business actually.
Okay.
Yes, it's a small business. A mother that I know, she does it. She took and then she just put it there like straight
bought some bottle, put it there, put the packaging herself.
Family business.
Crock crack?
Yeah, crock pot, yeah. So no, it's not a family business. It's just by herself. She just did, small business, and I mean, I love it. I can't live without it.
Yeah.
So that's why every time I go to Canada, I buy a bunch of bottles.
For the Americans, it was new. It was like, what are we doing here? What are we